Hi everyone, so much of my time on this channel is spent covering negative stories of war and human rights violations and propaganda and lies and government waste and the evils of capitalism, that when I see a story that's good in any of those areas, and it doesn't happen that often, I do make sure that I try and make a video of it. And this is just one of those times. Wallace and Gromit owners hand 75% of the company to its workers. 75%. I spotted this because Richard D. Wolf tweeted it. I read the news every day. I obviously read the newspapers every day, and I didn't actually see that article, which is strange, but I'm glad he tweeted this out. He said owners of big UK animation films sell 75% of it to 140 employees. That's wrong. It's actually wrong, that sentence is. They didn't sell it, they gave it away. Done to secure those jobs and their continued independence and creativity, going beyond capitalism to run companies are democratic worker co-ops. Just amazing, this is. Brilliant news. This is in The Guardian. Wallace and Gromit producers hand stake in business. As you see there, hand stake in business and staff. The owners of Aardman, the animation studio behind Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep and Morph, are handing over a 75% stake in the business to their 140 employees in a bid to protect the Bristol-based company's independence. Peter Lord and David Sproxton, who I shall now, from this point on, call them Sir Peter Lord and Sir David Sproxton because they bloody deserve it, who found I don't know whether they have. Well, they haven't, because they would have said Sir Peter Lord and Sir David Sproxton. Chances of them getting a knighthood now, well, very slim. If they'd have sold it and then, you know, bought a wing or donated 10 million to the Tate Modern or Oxford University or something like that, they'd be in the Queen's Honours List in January, like the third richest guy in the country that I covered in another video recently. Instead, they've gone down the route of giving 3/4 of the company away. I'll read this. I'm so impressed by it, I really am. Sir Peter Lord and Sir David Sproxton, who founded the UK's biggest animation production company while still at school, are set for a multi-million-pound payout as part of the deal, under which they will together continue to own a quarter of Aardman Holdings, the company's parent group. From their early days making hand-drawn animations, which they sold to the BBC while still teenagers, Morph. I remember that. Is it Art Attack with, what's his name, Hart? The pair now oversee an international group responsible for animated feature films such as the Oscar-winning Curse of Were-Rabbit and this year's Early Man, as well as video games and adverts for companies from DFS to Chevron. They've also done many films. I think there was one called Chicken with Sylvester Stallone that did really well at the box office. On Friday, the company brought out its first major console game. So this is, you know, it's an exciting time. The video game industry is bigger than Hollywood. So they're just getting into that now. So this is not like the company is on its knees. It's doing well, and it looks like it's about to do very well. I'm so impressed. The game's called Memories Retold, which follows two characters on opposing sides of the First World War, and Shaun the Sheep movie Farmageddon will be released next year. It also makes millions from merchandising and licensing the rights to characters, putting Shaun the Sheep and Wallace and Gromit on everything from cafes to cushions around the world. Here we go. Aardman Holdings is expecting to make sales of £30 million this year and profits of about 2.5 million, similar to last year, boosted by income from selling the rights to Shaun the Sheep, who now appears on theme parks in Japan and Sweden. Sir Sproxton and Sir Lord told The Guardian that the employee ownership scheme was being funded out of the company's cash reserve, which stood at £18 million. So they've took money out of the cash reserve of the company to buy the shares and then gave them to the... Take a bow, guys. That's just... Sir Sproxton said, "We are balancing at what we are comfortable taking out and what doesn't stress the company out. We have been thinking about this a long time and built up considerable cash reserves so we could do this without borrowing any money. Employees will own the majority stake in the business via the trust, similar to the way the John Lewis Partnership is organised. The 140 employees and freelancers, of which there are currently 180, so it's 320, people they've given it to, will also continue to receive a share of the profits. Oh no, sorry, 140 they've given it to, but they even give shares to their freelancers. Amazing. Will also continue to receive a share of their profits. Anyone who has worked for the company for at least 3 months of any financial year is entitled to a bonus. Staff will have an input into the running running Ardman via a workers' council, while the senior team will sit on the new board of directors, which will lead the business and decide on the staff bonus, reporting to the trust board. They're putting the staff on the board. Basically a worker co-op, as Richard Wolff said. This is incredible. Incredible. That company has turned over £1 billion worthwhile. $1 billion, or I expect it's £1 billion. Huge organisation. Huge. They've made absolutely million, and they could have made probably £1 billion or more, or certainly hundreds of millions it would have been sold for if they'd just sold it. But as they mentioned elsewhere in the article, if they sold the company, what would happen if it went to Disney or, some of the other organisations like Miramax or something like that? They would just take the company and ship it to Singapore or something, somewhere where they can make it cheaper. And all those people would have been out of a job. And now they're sitting on the board and they'll be beginning to decide what happens to the company going forward. And obviously, those 140 staff, and it looks like they've got a pretty good deal anyway beforehand. And now they've all got a vested interest in the direction of the company and the success of the company. This is amazing. I see so many stories of greed in capitalism, and capitalism just eating itself and being, larger companies buying out. So you've got a situation like in the media at the moment where you've got 5 companies own something like 78% of the media in this country. You haven't got a choice then. I see so many instances of that, which is terrible. And yet, here's a company that really is doing things the right way. I'm just going to read this about worker co-ops. I don't know a great deal about them, but what I've read and what I've seen from Richard Wolff especially has been really quite enlightening and quite positive. I think, I'm somebody who thinks capitalism is actually a stupid idea, but this might actually fix it. Because what it says is, by placing workers' needs before investors' profits, successful worker cooperatives democratise wealth rather than concentrating it. Through sharing risk, cooperatives make business ownership possible for entrepreneurs of all backgrounds. They build skills and participation in the workforce. This is the way forward. If we're going to stick with capitalism and we're not going to chuck it overboard, which is what I actually think we should do, and just say this isn't working, we need to chuck it overboard. We certainly need to do that with a monetary system, get it off the petrodollar. If we're going to stick to it, this is the way forward. And I've got to get these names right. Was it Sir David Sproxton? Sir Peter Lord and Sir David Sproxton. Take a bow, the both of you. You deserve all the credit that you're not going to get for this. And when I say they're not going to get the credit for it, if you notice, none of them actually have Sir before their name. But they bloody should. But they won't. Had they sold the company, I guarantee you this, had they sold the company for 500 million and then gave 100 million of it away to 3 different organisations, such as the third richest person in the country did, and gave 30 million to the Tate Modern to have a wing name after them, and 30 million to a museum to have a wing of the museum named after them, and another 40 million to Oxford University to have a section of the college campus named after them, like the third richest person, that Russian oil baron that I mentioned in another video. He got knighted soon after doing that. But those two gentlemen, I fear, are going to be waiting some time. But you know what? It's just a title, gents. In my mind, the both of them are heroes, and more companies need to do this. And we as people, and in the press, need to shine a light on these people and really say, listen, these people are the way forward. We're going to congratulate these people, and because they're doing great work. Those 140 staff and another 180 freelancers have pretty much secured their jobs for the foreseeable future. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well done, guys. Well done to the both of you. You both deserve all the credit you're not, unfortunately, going to get. But as far as I'm concerned, and certainly my audience, I would suspect, you're both heroes in our eyes. If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Independent voices like mine, I'm sure you're aware by now, are being censored across all social media platforms, so please like and comment on the videos. That really does help the channel out, and share the videos wherever you can to grow the audience. If you can, please support me on Patreon. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. I cannot do this without your help. I rely on your donations. Thanks very much for your support. It really is appreciated. Until next time, peace and take care.